Good afternoon, everyone. I, Gaurav Rangale, co-founder Aerovania and MOC for today's webinar, would like to welcome you all on the second day of National Symposium organized by Aerovania Innovation in collaboration with Space Advancement and Research Cell SARC. Now I request everyone to mute themselves for better experience and switch on their cameras for an interactive session. If you have any doubt or queries, you can post it in the chat box. We will take it in the end of the session. So today we are going to discuss the most prominent and interesting topic of current era, that is application of artificial intelligence, robotics, and technical writing in aerospace industry. For this, we have our chief guest from reputed company, Great Dreamers India Private Limited. Great Dreamers India is a tech social oriented initiative from Thrissur, Kerala. They are a group of passionate dreamers seek to engage, inspire, and create ambition for the next generation leader through discipline of science, technology, and social. Also, they are mostly focused on drone technologies, artificial intelligence, and technical skill development. So, now introducing our first guest, Ms. Liny Chandran ma'am. She is AI lead and mentor in Great Dreamers India, staff engineer in VMware Bangalore. She has more than 10 plus year experience in software industries, data analysis, and AI. She has work experience as AI and data analytical consult of TVS and Eros. She has patent for data analysis in event basis and trick based and data design data models for different data stores. Also worked as senior software engineer in GalaxE solution in Kbace solution. So not taking too much time, I would like to invite Ms. Liny Chandran ma'am to guide us.
Hey, thanks Gaurav for the introduction, and hope you all can hear me properly.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. So let's get started. I'll share my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So hi all. Hope you are having a great time, and I'll be talking about how we can use or leverage artificial intelligence in aviation or aerospace industry. So let's get started with a small story. It's not like a story; it's an event which happened few years back. So few years back, what happened was there was a question asked, like a survey question, which was asked in Facebook, like if you are given a chance, like to fly in an autonomous aircraft without a pilot, how many of you will opt in? And the results was like quite surprising, and it was a big no from most of the people. Around 99% of the people reacted, right, who responded was a no. They were like, how can we risk our life, like, with this kind of innovation? No one was ready to accept that challenge. But just consider if the same question is asked now, many of ourselves, including us, will be like ready to fly, right? We'll consider it as a big achievement to fly in an autonomous aircraft. So what I would like to specify here is 2 points. One is the scope in aerospace or aviation industry, like autonomous aircraft, real aircraft without a pilot flying with around 1,000, like the big flights we have now, right? That is like a quite drastic revolutionary change which will happen in aviation industry. So the scope for improvements or changes in aerospace. And also one more thing is, see, this all happened in a few years back. It's not even a decade. So the time which how drastically the things change, right? It's pretty very less nowadays. I know you all are familiar with, we all are technical people. So how the technologies we use keep changing. We have to be fit for this industry, right? We have to be fit ourselves by upskilling our skills. So when it comes to aerospace and artificial intelligence and all, the things keep changing drastically, even in weeks. People who are working in data science or some coding technologies, you can see how the things change, right? The libraries we use or the tools we use, everything keeps changing. So this is the subject we'll be talking about today, and why is it important. Yeah. So today, what we'll be going through is like introduction to. I'll just give an introduction to the world of artificial intelligence, how it started and how is it being used right now, and where is it, pointed towards to. And then we will cover some important concepts which will be useful for all of us. And then we will talk about few real use cases of data science and artificial intelligence in aviation industry. And then we'll just summarize. Okay. So few years back, maybe a decade back, when the social media came into, very important, when it started, the data which was coming into the companies or most of the organizations, the structure and the amount of data being collected was like drastically changed. Before it was like there were organizations which were doing data collection in Excel, but now we cannot imagine a system like that, right? In a medium-sized organization also, we need some very good, reliable, organized databases, data sources. So from this in this 21st century, oil is nothing but it is data for us. Data is everything. And when it comes to data and artificial intelligence is fueled only with this kind of data. So with the social media data or stock market data, if we consider, it comes in enormous volumes of data, right? So how to use it in a proper way and to find insights from this data, and then use that insights and feed those insights to a machine and let machine come up with predictions based on the patterns found in the historical data. That is the basic theory of data science and artificial intelligence. I hope I make sense right here. You all are getting it right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'll just give an introduction to the data science and artificial intelligence. Just see the blue circle, the data engineering building scalable infrastructure, right? So once the data is coming from the social media or the IoT sensors, when it comes to the mechanical field, right? It's all sensor data now, right? So the sensor data, social media data, stock market data, pictures, videos, it can be anything. So data engineering is the term where we process this data, cleanse this data, and then just save it into a good data source. So data engineering stops there, and from that data which is being saved in a good data source, the data science team will pick that data and put some machine learning algorithms and techniques and find insights and also do predictions from that. So that is the basic, how we can describe data science from data after the data in the full data science ecosystem. So these three circles, we can consider it as a full data science ecosystem. So from once this data science or machine learning is done, so you can see this all are combined, and it's all like a subset of this data science ecosystem. So you can see artificial intelligence also, it crosses with data science, the circle, and the main thing is data and machine learning. So we in artificial intelligence, what we do is we develop intelligent machines using machine learning algorithms that process on this huge unstructured and structured data. So whatever artificial intelligence system is right now, artificial intelligence is all around us, right? We can find it in many ways, even in aerospace or banking, in all the domains. So this is how all those systems are built. And now we'll deep dive further. I have just put some points on artificial intelligence. So as I mentioned, artificial intelligence is the science of making machines do things that would require intelligence if done by men. So what that means is, as I told, we'll feed the data into a machine learning algorithm, and it will predict the future based on the pattern of the data we provided, right? So if a man has to do that, he has to have some kind of intelligence. It's not just a mundane or dumb task, right? So developing such machines is the job of artificial intelligence. And we may not realize, but artificial intelligence is already happening all around us. And one of the key areas of artificial intelligence is transportation. Aerospace, yeah, it has already started and it is in advanced, it's advancing right now. But the main revolution, which when data science started, is in transportation. The biggest example is the Tesla cars, the self-driving cars, right? So that is like one of the major revolutionary changes which is going to happen in the whole world. And once that happens, like it's done, then the same thing can be applied in aviation also. So these are like the the scope and how artificial intelligence can be used, etc. And what are we trying to do what are we trying to improve with this artificial intelligence, right? It sounds so cool, and everyone seems like, oh, they want to use artificial intelligence, or we want machine learning programmers, we want to do this. But what are they really trying to achieve is like, so I was talking about the Excel sheet data management, right? So if a human is going to do that, the human errors are not replaceable. We cannot get away with that. A person can do mistakes because he might not be well. He might be under depression some days. He might be thinking of some other stress, pressure, right? So, but just imagine a machine which is doing the same task. There won't be any factors like this, the outside factors which will affect like this, right? So the human kind of errors is like will not be there. It will be almost 0% in case of machine learning and artificial intelligence. And helps in repetitive work. You might have already seen, right, lots of repetitive and mundane tasks being automated right now, right, in our organizations, offices, in all offices. So the repetitive tasks are no longer assigned to some individuals. It will be automated and fed to a machine. And digital assistants, the perfect example is check-in and check-in things at the airport. There are already a few airports which are already doing the digital assistance. There is no need of any, touch or contact with the people. There are desks there. It's all done with the face recognition, the image processing and all. And then faster decisions. It means before how it was done was, there will be a group of statisticians who will take the previous data. They have to put lots of formulas and come up with the probability, and that's how before the decisions were made in bigger organizations, like in weather, how much rainfall will be there in the next year or coming few years. So such decisions for statisticians, it was like a huge task. But with a machine learning or artificial intelligence system, once the data is fed, it's nothing for that machine, right? It keeps predicting. So it's much faster than how statisticians was able to do it before. And rational decision maker, it's almost the same. Better security and data predictions. Security and all, the main thing, example, of course, in the aircraft landing and all, it is the security comes into picture. But when it comes to banking, right, if we use a credit card for some transaction, whether it is a fraud transaction or you might notice, like if you do some transaction of an amount which is slightly bigger than normal transactions, you will get a call immediately from the bank, right? Whether to confirm whether you did the transaction or not. So that's level of security they are imposing. With the how they are doing it is like they are again tracking your previous transaction data. So the machine is checking, and it's see like, okay, there is a violation in the trend. So just to make it safer, the bank just calls you. So that's just an example of security. I just mentioned it. And then data predictions. There are lots of things which are happening with predictive maintenance. When it comes to aerospace, the aviation, what we can take an example is like whether any part of aircraft or any machines in the in the airport itself, with the previous data collected, any part can go, go for it has to be gone for a maintenance, or whether a failure can happen to that part. Such predictions can be done very fast and very convenient using artificial intelligence. So these are the few advantages which we have just noted down. And in aerospace industry, some of the novel ideas to use AI is like spacecraft autonomy, aircraft control, modeling, airfoil design, satellite operations, drone technology, and vehicle health management. So we'll see a use case for each one of them in the coming slides. So this is just to give a higher view of which are the subjects which in this aerospace use domain. And what can be achieved by using artificial intelligence in all these domains is basically, it's like always, cost is the main thing which all the people are trying to reduce, right? So whether it is labor cost or operational cost, reducing even 2% of labor cost or operational cost is like, it will lead to a significant increase in the revenue. So that is one thing which we are trying to achieve using this artificial intelligent machines. And second thing is to reduce the human error. We have already discussed about it. And then the third point is health and safety issues. So we'll see these things in detail. So this is the main slide where we can, actually talk about some of the real use cases. So one is the product design. So product design, it's like you can see even the car or aeroplane, whatever it is, the newer designs, right? It looks sleek, of course, but then there will be lots of ideas went behind designing of that model. So for that also, the designers, those people are actually using artificial intelligence behind that. So how is it done is like from the past, whenever the data has been captured for these aircrafts, all this data is saved, and it will be analyzed, like weather, stability of the speed, altitude, stability, and then damage data of the aircrafts, and crack growth. Such data will be captured, and these are just examples. There are lots of factors which will go into this product design, which will be known by the domain experts. So once they have that data, they can actually, the machine learning and artificial intelligence can help them. What are the main factors to be considered to improve the stability of the aircraft, or how can it behave, better in a when it is like very foggy, such weather situations and all, right? So what they do is, there are in the new designs, maybe you can see, right, wing legs, then wings being done, then some things done being using lighter materials. So these are all small examples, but for the real product designers who works on that field, there is a huge scope for changing the coming up with better designs. So that is one use case. And then one is fuel efficiency. So when we say fuel efficiency, the first thought will be like, how can we the mileage, right? How can we go more distance with less fuel? But it's not just that's not just the case. Right now, when it comes to fuel efficiency, the first point is the carbon dioxide level, right? So it's everyone knows that it's increasing and the global warming happening and all. And in the whole world, a significant percentage of this carbon dioxide increase is caused by aviation industry. It's a fact. So when it comes to fuel efficiency, the main thing they consider is how can we reduce this. So go for better it's all go green right now, right? So how can we reduce that to have it's like more eco-friendly and increase the mileage also. So for these things also, the data being collected in the past and artificial intelligence helps a lot. So these two are two major use cases. And the next one is operational maintenance and efficiency. So when it comes to operational maintenance, it combines a lot of things, like one is the revenue, and then we have route planning, the better routes for aircrafts, and the in-flight food and sales. So first we'll talk about the revenue itself. So considering our local flights, by common sense itself, we can make out, Friday evenings, the flights will be like fully booked and the charges will be very high. And even if on the weekdays, even afternoon and all, it might be a little less and it won't be that much crowded, right? So that is like a data analysis which anyone can just think, and we can then book the flight according to our the insight which we get. But there are other factors also, like some festivals, seasons, then weather happening, and then even there are minute change things, like even if in a state in India, if it is wedding season, then there will be like more passengers to that state. So such things we might not be able to recognize, but if the data is already fed and there is a system which tells you, like last year this time these many passengers were on this flight, so immediately this time also the same trend will happen, and the airport authorities can actually change the flight, or change the price, or add one more aircraft, something like that. It's about the how can they increase the revenue. And one more example is, like if they see if the system shows them like suddenly there is a small increase to sorry if there is a increase of passengers to one destination, and then it keeps on growing, so easily people can make out like, okay, that's an emerging destination, maybe some IT company is coming there, IT park is coming there, or something else is happening, right? So that is how artificial intelligence will actually help in increasing the revenue by planning much ahead than when it really happens. And the next thing is I mentioned the second point was revenue and route management is that. So the in-flight sales and food, right? So when we think like it's like, okay, on an average, if there are 100 people, we can just get 80 packets of food. So if 50% of people buy also, there won't be much left, right? But then it's not the case when we consider like how many flights, if we consider just one Air India as a service, how many flights are going like in a day? And in the long flights, it will not be like 100 people, right? So how, if they just take a guess and get the food packets, right, it will be like, and the loss in that is like unimaginable. It's like in huge amounts of revenue. So in that also artificial intelligence comes into picture. So that is also one use case. So operational maintenance and efficiency means it's not just the revenue itself, how to plan a better routing and how can we really decrease the cost in all ways we can find. And autonomous drones and aircraft, we can see now we are already in the advancing stage of that, right? We can see drones delivering some places there for Amazon things. They are using drone for delivery. So by common sense, we can make out that they are using the location data, right? So if a mini drone can be used by using this location data, why cannot the aircraft without a pilot? We can feed the aircraft with location details, and then we can use this image processing and video analytics. Then the weather data is there. Combined with everything, this autonomous drones and aircraft is can be built using the artificial intelligence. And then the threat identification. So when it comes to security, right, it's a very one of the major and very critical, whatever works and it finds everything so cool and all, but if it is not safe, no one will risk their life, right, to enter into such a domain. So threat identification and security is the major and critical things in artificial intelligence. So for that, the main thing is like they have to do a lots of tests and with the data available, build robust artificial intelligence systems. So this slide has covered most of the the use cases which can the major use cases in the aviation industry. So you can see, right, what are the things lying ahead in this industry, and just knowing the so when it comes to artificial intelligence, there are two parts. One is being technically very strong to build the robust machines, and the second part is the domain knowledge. Without knowing domain knowledge, how much ever robust systems we are trying to build, it will not succeed for sure, right? Because it will not pass any validation criteria. For that, domain expertise is needed for sure. So, and then we will list out few of the AI products which are already being in used. I'm sure you will be knowing more than this, more about this than me. Boeing Phantom Works. It's like an automated data sharing system, and Simon Airbus. It's like a robot built on artificial intelligence system, and it's already, the testing is almost done, it seems. And then the drone sense, it's using the drone technology, and NASA's Earth Science Data, it's called ESDS, and Chandrayaan 2, we all know it was very famous, like AI-powered Pragyan rover. And so why you learn AI, right? I already told there are two parts when it comes to building, the future machines: the domain expertise and the technical skills. So the domain expertise is not going to change, right? Not going to change in the sense the basic things will remain the same. Airport functionalities or aircraft features. Only thing what will be changing is how to improve the design, or in the overall, how can we make it very smooth, more and more smooth, right? Or user friendly or something like that. So for that, the domain expert is needed for sure. And to make it more smooth or build very robust machines, we need technical skills. And in the future, it's already started from 2020, but from 2023, the aerospace industry is like going to be, there will be a boom, how this autonomous aircrafts and all. So what we can do is like upskill ourselves and be very smart in our own domain, and upskill ourselves so that we'll be like really fit in the current industry. And job opportunities, there is no doubt. It's like there will be like plenty of job opportunities for the people who are capable of doing those things. And then entrepreneurship, there are one example which I can tell about this entrepreneurship is like in the aviation industry there are few startups which are actually servicing few air this service providers like I'm not sure in India, Delta and all, right? So there are some startups. They what they do is they get the data, they analyze it and provide insights to these people, so that they all they have to do is see that they look see the data and have some higher management meeting and come up with plans. How can we rearrange the flights, or how can we reroute, or again the cost operations, how can we reduce. So such startups or such entrepreneurship ideas is going to be like the top and skills in the coming years. And AI is versatile. It's not just aviation industry. Any industry will take. With now the healthcare is in a boom because of this COVID and all, but aviation is always on top. Any industry, manufacturing, education, everywhere AI is being used. So it's not just limited to one domain. It's very versatile. So learning AI, right? It's not limited to a domain. That's so if we are upskilling ourselves with this AI technologies, it will not be a lose for sure. It will be always helpful, and you will only find like numerous openings, and you will be like overwhelmed with the the kind of work which will come to you. And yeah, of course, data science and artificial intelligence is like the the skill of the century, the 21st century. So yeah, that's all the points I had. So the conclusion is like with this very high skilled, and we know in aviation industry it's very it's not easy to get admission also, right, to get into a good college in this. So combination of this high skilled workforce in aviation industry and this artificial intelligence, we are sure that we can create more robust and eco-friendly systems in the coming future. So that's it.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your invaluable insights. I request everyone, if they have any doubt or if they have any question, they can just post it in the chat box so that we can take it. Ma'am, I have a question related to this. Ma'am, if we are the means here, most of the students are from aerospace background or aeronautical background. So how can we start the AI thing? Means how organizations like yours can help us to start the thing?
So the coolest thing right now is it doesn't matter whether you are studying or you are working. We can always start part-time stuff, right? So there is where this this very tailor-made training institutes come into a picture. So you can actually ask us like this is our interest. If we have to build something and to approach a like any of the service providers, what can we do? There are numerous opportunities and things which we can do, like collecting data. I said an example, right? One startup, their idea was that that's not a big thing, but the thing here is like get a good idea. And to get that, the main thing is like we have to be like very much updated with the domain. What are the changes happening in our domain? Then read about lots of this business ideas and the use cases which are already implemented, and then upskill yourself with get trained for a special feature, and then implement something. I'm sure there will be takers for that.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, we have some questions in the chat box also. From Nutan is asking, ma'am, is it compulsory to learn programming languages?
In all the startups it's not just programming. There are people who comes up with ideas. So that is the major thing, right? They will be into the they'll be the what is it called? In a company, there will be like MD or CEO. They don't code, right? But their ideas are the ones which get implemented finally. So right now, I have seen very good ideas coming from the very juniors in our company, because the young blood, they are smart, they are very much updated about the industry, so they can actually come up with lots of ideas. And with such idea, then we don't have to code or put any programming skills. They can better develop on their designing skills.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think there is not any other questions.
Mhm.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for joining with us. You have told us about the basics of data science and AI, advantages of AI, and you have also told us how we are using AI in aerospace in the current situation, whether it is weather or weather conditions or it is ticketing or any other thing which we are using in now. Uh, Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us, and I think we should move forward for our second guest.
Thank you.
Yes. So now, introducing our next guest, Mr. Shibu Basheer, sir. He is Robotics and Mechatronics mentor in Great Dreamers India, Senior Sales and Project Manager in Genesis Clusters. He has 20 plus years of experience in robotics, hydraulics, and automation, and pneumatic mechatronics. He has worked as field service engineer in robotics and mechatronics for 17 plus years. Also worked at AIMES Engineering Limited, New Zealand, MacRace Engineering, New Zealand, and Service Engineer in Ship Manufacturing Company of Dubai. Sir, we are glad to have you with us. Now, I would like to request to Shibu Basheer, sir, to take the lead.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone. Unfortunately, my video is not working because of my network is. Hope you're listening, everyone, right?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay. Hi. Hi, good afternoon to everyone, faculties, and students. And basically, we are just discussing about the robotics. So the great things in the current scenario. So everyone is looking for the robotics, and the time will come. Every home having the robotics. A robot without home, without robot, there is no home. The situation is going to come. Okay. So a bit about me. So I study robotics from Australia. That is, then I completed my course in New Zealand, and I worked for New Zealand, one of the company in New Zealand for the robotics and marine operations. And we used to manufacture robotics there in New Zealand. Then I worked for the company in India. They are the pioneers of robotics manufacturing, and they do autonomous robots, and they do innovations for the robots and design of robots and all. So that is one. And basically, we are doing Genesis learning, and we do on-job, give the on-job training for the persons also working with us and studying with us. That is a thing from my side, and just under the robotics. Right now, if we'll be discussing robotics in 3 waves. First is introduction, next is in history and applications. So first we'll learn about the robotics. How is it robots are formed? Robotics is basically derived from the term robot. That is a Czech term. That word it is a term. It is a meaning as a slave or a servant. Slave or a servant. That's the term. The robotics is derived from the word. This word. So all the functions which is whatever the things you are making based on this thing. So next thing is when you define about the robotics is the integration of engineering with the computer science. So when I'm saying the engineering, it is basic engineering things, say like mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, electronics engineering. So the traditional engineering are integrated with the computer science. That is robotics. So one robotic engineer is all engineer, not a electrical engineer, not a computer engineer only, not a mechanical engineer, not a computer science. Everyone is integrated. The old tradition is gone. If the people around earlier, people used to study with the mechanical engineering, people used to search for the job in mechanical engineering, and people who study the electrical engineering, search for the electrical engineering. That's tenure is over. No more such tenure. Now, the case is integration of engineering, that is with the computer science. So that is called robotics. Everywhere is robotics. So when we discuss about the robotics initially formed as a automation. So the term automation is the first thing of the robotics. From there, the robotics is formed. So the robotics and automation is closely related. So replication of the man. When the industrial relations, we know the story of industrial relations. When the industry is termed from manual working to automation or fully automated industry. From there, the robotics has developed. So it is a form of automation into robotics. So automation jumped into the robotics. Now we will discuss about the types of robotics. So when we discuss about the types of robotics, it is manipulator robotics. Then next is leg robots and wheel robots, autonomous robots, and say like unmanned vehicle. These are the things currently using with the robots. So you know that we never expected some of the cars or some of the vehicles are moving without man. That also be seen with the robotics and the AI. So robotics is like when we think about the robotics, so the car required a driver, that is essential. So anything required a driver to drive the vehicle. So that the thing is taken over by the robot. So you can imagine how important so the robots in this current field. So it is like a driver of the car. So learning the robotics, design the robotics, and it is manufacture robotics for engineer. It is essential for that, because without driver, car will not run. Same way, without robotics, the business will not go and the world will not turn. That is the robotics. Next is the robotics using for. Now, robot is using for, as you know, that the earlier the robots was used for the repetitive works when the human was tired. Certain point of time, when you employ a human for certain works and they get tired, sometimes we cannot employ. We have to calculate the working hour of the man. This much hour we have to give the off for the man. They need to take rest. That's tenure is over. That's what now the robotics is taking care of that particular area. Robot doesn't require any rest. That is thing. Second thing, robot is never complain about the work surrounding. I was worked as an operational manager for a company. I have to face a lot of complaints from the employees. See, this man getting a good facility. Other man is not getting another facility. Why you are not given the facility? Other one is saying, this man is not working. I'm working hard. Such complaint. There is no such complaint in robotics. So robotics is ultimately a production-oriented implementation. So is it a replication of 100% replication of the man? So in day by day, I'm saying in developed countries, the robotics are reaching a certain percentage, certain high level percentage, but in developing countries, we are still looking for the developments. So the stage will come in developing countries. So those who are in the developing countries, there are a lot of scope for the robotics in the field of development, innovation, design, production, in all the job category. So irrespective of a job, so the robotics, if you are taking as a profession, definitely you can live in coming years. And I use the word you can live. So you can imagine how important is the robotics in coming days. That is one. Second thing, in the use of robots, when you mention about, the robots are using certain places that the man cannot work. In the sense, certain area, even in certain hazardous area, that is one area. Another area, the dirty area, where the man cannot work. Man doesn't want to work there. Even in the cleaning of the toilets, certain area of the cleaning of the toilet, that particular area, a man doesn't want to work. That area, we can employ the robot. That means from lower stream to upper stream, all the levels robots are employed in in this current situation. So you can imagine robots are employed in all the places. Robots are in the coming days. It's like a small industry. Robots are going to manufacture because robots is to be essential and for this. That is one. Second thing, another one. The robots history. When you see the history of the robotics, 1978, as the first robots was manufactured. That was in programmable universal machine for the assembly. Then Puma. Then 1980s. Later, 1995, robotics were using for the mobile robots were derived, and the second growth of the startup. The second development, second generation. Then 2003, NASA used these robots for the Mars exploration. Even Chandrayaan, our Indian Space Research Organization, also using the robots for the research in space research. So when you discuss about industries for the robots, they're using the agricultural, automobile, construction, even in entertainment. People are entertainment is a very, it's a very different term I'm using because the robots are dancing. You don't need a person for the dancing. You don't need to artist for the dancing. You can employ the robots for dancing. Just imagine how it is where it is reached the robots. So how important is the robotics? See, and healthcare, of course, healthcare, laboratories, then even in law and enforcement, you don't need any advocate standing in front of the court and saying about the stories and everything robot will be handling. So you cannot bribe, then definitely a robot will say the same thing whatever that happened. That is one. Then even in military and mining, it is already done, and transportation and utilities in gas and water. That's warehouses already using warehouses. When you're saying about the warehouses, I've seen the one machine that is the Saver Danfoss. Danfoss Center is a Saver Danfoss. It is a Danfoss is the hydraulics and pneumatics. It is a leader, and I went to Germany for visiting their plant. And I went 2005 there, visited for return training. Then I visited 2015. 2015, the factory was employed around 5,000 employees before. And later, when I visited 2015, employed reduced to 250. So you can imagine how big is robot, how big the change in the scenario, how people are, of course, that's one thing. People are losing the job. That's different thing because I don't think people are losing job because if you are applying the robots, someone need to manufacture the robot, someone need to design the robot, someone need to design the arm of the robot, someone need to make the arm of the robot, someone need the equipment sensors of the robots. So that concept I'm not accepting because everybody is getting more job. But thing is that it's not an old fashion, it's a new fashion. So we have to learn about artificial intelligence and robotics. It is very, very essential for the current one. So when you discuss about the aerospace and aeronautical engineering, so aeronautical engineering is in the world, the shipbuilding, aerospace is the spacecraft and the shipbuilding are the precise, and it's very precision industries. It is taking a lot of time. It's taking precision work required. But when you compare, when you take the case of aeronautical engineering, aircraft manufacturing, it is very precision. So in earlier in France, in Boeing employed certain robots for drilling the holes of the aircraft, Airbus. So they found it is a way because the accuracy of the holes is compared to human. It is precise and the quality is very good. So in recent past, the aircraft manufacturing, there are a lot of robots are going to employ, and even the higher end aircraft manufacturers, say like Boeing or Airbus and all, they're going to bring with aircraft robots in the industry. So that will be a great change, and will be great quality. That will be great assurance for the traveling safety is concerned. So that's going to make the industries more vibrant, and is be more lucrative, and is a profit gaining industry, as well as that'll be lead to the production cost of the aircraft will reduce, and of course that will end up to the end user for traveling, and total things. So the traveling charges, everything reduce. So the world is going to change because of robots is coming to the aeronautical industries, and same time aerospace. Aerospace is, that is another different thing, and it is very difficult to send the man over the typical place. Plus, you need a lot of training, a lot of preparations, a lot of physical preparations, a lot of things, gravity check, everything. But that is one of the hazardous things you're sending the man over in the aerospace, in the space. So that's in coming future that is going to change, and coming with the robots will be handling everything more accuracy than the man doing. So you can imagine the changes. What are the changes? The new horizons going to come. The new horizon will be with the great technical, and new horizon will be very comfortable. New horizon will be safer to the man living this earth. So of course, these are the basically looking for the safety and the comfort of the man. So of course, this is the greatest achievements robot. So robotics is essential for everyone to learn. Even in all the science students, even commerce students, it should be learn about the robotics, because in coming days, without robot, there is no life, there is no job, there is no scope. With the robot is ultimate one for the robot. So thank you for listening from me. You can raise your questions now, because I'll be available to answer the question for another 5 minutes time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for this deep information about the robotics in the industrial use. So the question answer section is open for all the participants. If you have any question, you can put that as in the chat box. Sir, till then I have question from the team that why and how we can implant AI in the robots.
Well, AI is artificial intelligence. It is making when you define about the robotics is a replication of man. So man is a different phenomena, robot is a different phenomena. So AI is interfacing between the man and the robot. So artificial intelligence, the artificial intelligence is making a robot almost equivalent to the man. So that is the application of the artificial intelligence in robotics. Thank you.
And there is one more question in the chat box from Janvi Gaikwad. Is there any opportunities for aerospace robotics in India? If so, how one can go for the same?
Well, aerospace is one of the grooming industry in India, not only in India, all the places, because people are spending, the government is spending a lot of money for the aerospace industry, because aerospace is a second home. So people are willing to travel. Even you can see that the space travel, space tourism, a lot of things are coming in the market now. So that will come over here also, because development is already did for the space tourism. We are planning for the space tourism. And you know that Indian Space Research is also one who is more than able in the world to prepare planning for the space missions. So there will be a great job opportunity in India for the space engineers with robotics and artificial intelligence. So in future, all the scope will be for these type of engineers who is having capacity robotics and interfacing technique, that's like artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And there is one more question. Do we really need humanoid robots, and why we need them? What is your opinion about them?
Well, humanoid is autonomous robots. So humanoid, if you're making, that is for a particular purpose. As we understand, the main design name of the robot is domain knowledge. So different domain is a different robots are preparing. So depending on that, you have to change the designs, change the purposes. It's not one robots can be available in the market. We can put it to another purpose. No, that is different. So that is one of the great advantage and disadvantage of the robots, because you need to prepare the domain robots for a special purpose. But humanoid, you can almost, it is the general purpose, in the sense you can use it for certain purposes and you can use for some other purpose also. So designing a robot is the humanoids in the market will be available for a certain group of purposes. So humanoid is essential for a certain purposes. Thank you.
Okay, sir. I think all the questions are answered. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and taking out time from your busy schedule for us. Yes, you have told us about the very valuable information about the robotics, its applications, how it is being emerged in India and in the abroad opportunities also. Thank you so much, sir, for joining.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So moving forward, I think there are some questions in the chat box. Okay, we will take it. You can mail these questions to the sir. His email ID will be provided. So moving forward, introducing our next guest, Mr. John Jose, sir. He is a technical writer, mentor in Great Dreamers India, product support specialist in IQVIA Chennai. He has 9+ year experience in technical writers in aerospace and other industries. He is graduated as AME, started his career in technical writer from 2013. Also, he has worked in Law and Bridge Technologies, ISG Incorporation, and Zybe Incorporation. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And now I would request you to please take the lead and
yeah.
Sir, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Are you audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. I hope I have shared the PPT PowerPoint to you, so
yes,
you can present that. Yeah.
Yes, sir, I'm doing.
Okay. Meanwhile, I will just make an introduction on technical writing. So I hope all the crowd over here is related to the aerospace. So I will just explain you what is technical authoring into the aerospace. The major thing is like you all know about the staff nurse, right? Whoever completed the BSc nursing, they will have two options. One will be they will be going to hospitals to do the to work as a staff nurse, and there is another branch called teaching. So they can move to the schools or colleges and they can do the lecturing job. So that is their understanding which option they can choose. But for my opinion, I will choose like to have a better, because moving to a hospital, getting less salary, and also burdens of job task will be there, and we are getting less salary, a lot of problems inside the hospital. So nowadays everyone is moving to the lecturing side after completing the BSc nursing. So in case of aerospace, if a person is completing the AME or BTech, aeronautical engineering, they have two sides of like it's like a coin. You have the two sides. Either you can work as a technical guy, or you can work as a technical author. In if you see in your eyes, you can both the jobs are similar. Who what the technical author do is like he's writing the task to complete something. Like if you see the aircraft, any task, it can be removing a tire, removing the engine, anything. So the technical author will write the task how it should be completed in a proper manner. There you should not do any wrong methods, or you should not do any wrong practices. So the technical author will be writing the procedures, and he will be giving the technical informations to the technician who is doing the maintenance on the aircraft or anything related. Okay, so basically who can come up as a technical author in aerospace industry? A person who completes aircraftman's engineering or BTech in aeronautical engineering. So in aerospace, only those guys can come as a technical author. If you see the aerospace field, you will have a doubt like, is there any job opportunity if I'm going as a technical authoring or as a technical author? So what the basic quality a technical author needs? The main thing he should need the knowledge in the domain that already you are studying as an AME or a BTech. You will have the knowledge in the aerospace field, how to work the aircraft or the parts of the aircraft you'll be having. So any person who completes the aerospace studies will have the ability to work as a technical author. And you will have a doubt like, is it a complex job? Will it affect our career? Will it be having more career opportunities and all? So of course you have a lot of career opportunities inside the India and outside India. Even a person who is um, working as a uh, technical author, if a person completes more than 3 years, probably he will be having much knowledge in the aircraft engine parts and all. So even the Qatar Airways and all, they just call this person for a QC departments, because in experience, in personal, I know few persons they have selected from Line Bridge into the Qatar Airways. So it's not like a technical author or it's a static position. The designation will change, keep on changing based on the knowledge you appear in the technical authoring. So then what the technical author does, we'll come up with that. Technical author mainly he will gets the inputs. Okay, the inputs will be getting from the manufacturer. He will be converting the uh, complex engineering diagrams and inputs or BOMs. That means bill of materials. He will be making into a simplex document where a technician can work. Because if I'm giving a job of I'm giving a job like a technician, I'm just telling him like, you just go and remove the tire. So what a new person, a new joinee as a technician will do, he didn't know how to remove a tire, what pressure I have to apply on the bolts or nuts. So they will have the technical document how to remove the tire, how to install the tire. So this will be in the procedural way, and this will be created by the technical author. And what a technical author have the does the technical author have much? I will say like 60% of the companies or 60% of the aerospace related companies are working as a technical documentation team. If you say TCS, they have a technical documentation team. If you see Scient, they have a technical documentation team. If you see the Line Bridge, Sonovision, Flatrons, even Rolls Royce, they are just building up in Bangalore and Chennai. So there are a lot of companies. You will think why we required a technical documentation team, but because there is a law on behalf of that. If you are putting 100 rupees, okay, I'm just making into simple. You can consider as 1 lakh or 20 lakhs. Whatever the person you put on some materials or some engines or some components, 20% of the total cost should go into documentation. Why? Because if they have to sell particular part or engine, or it may be the airframe to some customers, there should be a proper documentation which says like, to remove these parts or remove this particular component you have to follow these ways. So that makes the job very easier. Which makes, I will just give an example. If you go to um, any web applications or any other places, you will have many doubts, but you will not see any guides or something which clear your doubt very quickly. So you obviously you have to connect to a customer support. But here you don't have any customer support. If you take the automobile or aerospace field, there is no customer support for the engine parts or related spare parts. So if you provide a proper documentation, you don't need such kind of doubts. You can refer to the documents and all your doubts will be cleared. Even they will be provided with the graphics. So in this technical authoring, there will be two kinds of positions. As a fresher, you will be there. It is first position will be the technical author, and the next position will be the technical illustrator. So illustrators normally even they also will be selected based on the knowledge in aerospace, right? Because they have to draw the diagrams of the engine parts or electronic parts, whichever is used in the aircraft. If you see, is there much documents you have to prepare for the aircraft means, I will say like if you buy 10 acres of land, you can keep all those documents over there. Such that many documents we are preparing for the aircraft. Because only if you provide the proper documentation, then only the airworthiness certificate will be provided to such kind of components. So if you are manufacturing a new aircraft or engine, the documentation should be completed before the airworthiness certificates, and it should be provided to the respective departments. They will be referring those kind of documents. So all these documents should be 100% perfect. There should not be any duplication or any kind of error should be there. So all these comes under the technical authoring. So the technical authoring, basically it's a communication. It's a communication between the manufacturer and the end user. End user, it may be the technician or it may be some partners. So in mediator will be the technical author. So these are the basic things which I can introduce you in front of you as a technical publication of aerospace. Moving on to the next slide, I will explain you more about what all things comes under the technical publication training. So this one already I just told you about who can become a technical writer, or see I just use the common terminology as a technical writer. In aerospace industry, we call them as technical author or a document controller, or a technical illustrator. So this hiring companies, as I told you, aerospace will be the first company or first domain where it introduced the documentation as introduced. So I will tell you why such an importance for a documentation is. I already mentioned to you. Apart from that, I will add few points more. We have to standardize the documentation. So they have even the committee which they have introduced to make a common standard. I will just give an example for that. If a Boeing is introducing an engine and even Airbus is introducing an engine, both the engines should have similar kind of documentation. If one is giving the descriptional documentation and if one is giving the procedural documentation, it will be varying if for a particular user. So there should be something like common standardization for the documents. So they have introduced many standards like ASD 100, the numbering system of the aircraft. So using that, they have introduced the ASD 100, and they have used the ASD 100, then S1000D. This S1000D and all, which has introduced from the military aircraft, because earlier it was using by the military civil aviations. Later they are used by the civil aviations. Previously it was carrying by the military departments. So nowadays we are using the S1000D methods. So there are a lot of standards we have to learn to become a technical writer, technical author in the aerospace industry, and you should be keen on the drawings. If you say the language wise, we will use only the simplified English instead of complex English. So it will be the simplified English. So a person normally who has the ability of patience can come up as an technical author. So we'll move up to the next slide. Yeah, tools. Which all tools we require to prepare the documents? Mainly we use these kind of tools because there are a lot of standardization. As I told you, if you see a component maintenance manual of air filter or oil filter of two different companies, the standard remains same. It will have a common TOC. If it start with a description, it will end up with an IPC or IPL. It's IPL or IPC in the sense illustrated parts catalog. So both the documents will start with a similar TOC and ends with a similar TOC. Only inside the content will be changed, but the common standards like header, footer, and the way of describing the things, everything will be similar. Only the inside features of the components will be vary. So for that we have different tools. You can ignore the MS Word and all. Mainly, we use FrameMaker and Robotics editor in aerospace industry. And image capturing tool, normally these are the common tools we use to prepare the images or graphics. But later this will be passed to the illustrators, where they use the ISO uh, tool to introduce or to create the images. So these are the common tools we use. Why? Because we are using this Robotics editor and FrameMaker sense. We have the tags in that partial tag, and it's nothing complex. It's just like each uh, content should be below to the respective headings. I will tell you the example. If you take the landing gear, it has the perfect ATA numbering system. So your component maintenance manual will have a numbering system of 42 or 40, whatever related to that, and the same thing will be in your footer. So the disassembly code will be there for each task. So disassembly code, if it is 01 or 00, it will be common around the world. So those are the standards. So these standards are inbuilt into the Robotext editor. We call it as Brex rules. Okay, that will be for validating. So we use these tools to validate the standards of the technical authoring. So we use these tools to create the manuals. Used to create the notes of aerospace industry. So we'll move to the next slide. Okay. So manufacturing sector, as I told you, we have different user manuals. We have different assembly, disassembly guides, installation and removal guides. Basically, in previous years, in 2000s and 2011s, if you see the documents, it was a bigger document. If I say maybe a document will have 200 pages or 250 pages, it may be similar. An example, if you take, you have many of them has traveled in flights, so you have you have seen the seats, right? The where you will be sat for long hours. The seat itself is having a component maintenance manual. So in that manual, component maintenance manual, they will be explaining about the installation, assembly, removal, testing. All those scenarios will be segregated into different sections, and they have created the CMO, the component maintenance manual. But nowadays, they have introduced a system called modular management. So this modular management, in the sense, they will be dividing each section into a modules. So what will happen if you dividing these sections into a modules? You can refer those sections. You can reduce the duplications. So you can refer the same content in some other places also, and you can make it as a soft copy. And you don't need to print all the pages if required. Only the specific task can be allocated to a particular person. So if you have to remove the seat from the aircraft, you don't want to carry a 250-page book. Instead of that, you can carry a 10 pages or 15 pages book or soft copies along with you. So nowadays they are using the modern modular management system, and they call it as S1000D. And we have separate data manager. That means this all the documents will be placed in a data manager, and where we refer those tasks. So whatever the task you required based on the numbering system, you can select from the CSDB, and you can carry the particular soft copy to the aircraft to complete your task. So there are a lot of different types or different um, outputs they just use in the manufacturing sector. Is purely based on the companies. Rolls-Royce or Airbus or Boeing, all these three major companies will have different types of manufacturing documents, but all have similar standardization. If one is doing S1000D, if Airbus is doing the S1000D standard, means Boeing will also doing the S1000D in a similar standard. There will not be any discrepancies between these two. So these are the major documents which we prepared by the technical author. So we'll move to the next slide. Hope you are able to catch me. If you have any doubts, you can ask at the later. You can make a note of that. Document structure, as I told you, it will be crisp and clear in basic way. If I am telling crisp and clear in the sense, if you are reading out a children's book, normally it will have the text content and the image content. So it will be very easy for you to understand the basic lines which I have explained over there. If you have only the text part, it is very difficult to you to imagine. So basically all the documents will have the text and images inside a document. So it is very easy for you to exactly understand what has to be done and how it to be done. So that is a document structure basics way. Yeah, we'll move to the next one. Yeah, topics involved, as I told you, all these one, how to write a document and which all outputs will be there and what standard we use. Nowadays we are using the MSTP, but few of the companies have separate style guides. If you say the Rolls-Royce have separate guides. Other than that, this Airbus and all other companies just use the MSTP guide as a style guide. And we have domain based outputs, like as I told you, CMM will be there, AMM will be there, wiring diagram will be there. So these are the different user guides and manuals for the aerospace. And we have a lot of aerospace standards: A1000, S1000D, ASD 100, ASD 2200. And CSDB means where we store all these documents, and it have long process inside that CSDB. It's from purely works based on the access, and even the access have particular restrictions. Like if a technical author will have specific restriction, and if it is going for reviewer will having a specific restriction, and if everything is completed, the document will be published, and then only it will be the end user is able to use the particular document. So this is a CSDB, the data manager, which works purely based on the restrictions and access. And authoring and image capturing tools, I will explain you. Workshops on different manuals will having the like in the training programs we'll have the workshops for writing up any documents. And nowadays everyone is completing the particular um, technical authoring uh, course. Why? Because even if you see the COVID came, all the technical authors working inside the IT industry doesn't altered with these corona issues, but many of the technicians who is working for the aerospace industries have lost their jobs, or they was not salaried for 11 or 12 months, and many has came back to India. So it's purely, as I told you, it's like a BSc nursing guy who has completed his engineering, and it's their choose. They can choose the as a staff nurse, or they can move up into the lecturing side. In the same way, some can come up as a technician, and some up can come up as a technical author. So it's purely your choice. I can just guide you or help you if you have any doubts. Yeah, I hope everything is completed. So you can come up with the questions if you have any.
Thank you so much, sir, for this information. If anyone want to ask any question or if they have any doubt about this topic, they can just put it in the chat box. Sir, you have mentioned about the training programs. Sir, can you tell us something about that?
Regarding the training programs.
Yes, sir.
See, basically the training programs will help you to understand how a technical author works in a company. So we will guide them, because many freshers are just joining the companies without any knowledge. It will make a lot of difficulty to work or to show up their career. So what we used to help them is like we'll guide them to learn more about the different standards, because you cannot simply go and work as a technical author. As I told you, some companies will have a standard of ASD 2200. If I say ASD 2200 or ATA 2200, many will not know what is ATA 2200. If I say ATA numbering system, many will know what is ATA numbering system. So these standards have started from ATA numbering system. We know only the 100 numbers we used to see in the ATA numbering system. So initial standard was ATA 100, then it came up as ATA 2200. Now we are using ASD, I mean S1000D, So these standards, along with the tools, how we are going to implement in the particular document, and from where all we get the inputs. If I'm giving a scratch, like I just say, I just told you to prepare a CMM for the seat, so you will be shattered, like from where I will get the inputs. So we will just guide you the inputs which are called BOM, or the testing faults, or the engineering drawings, what all inputs you can gather, or the BOM. So all these are just inputs. So we'll guide them like these are the inputs you can gather, and you can put out these inputs in these ways. You can categorize the definitions, or you can categorize the details in separate ways. And in such a way, if you categorize, then it is easier to you to develop a document. So how to extract the informations from these inputs, that also will be teaching them. And also, once you put it into this particular document, whether you are using a simplified English or tongue twisters, you have to use what all rules you have to follow, and how these will be placed. If you are placing this information, there are separate rules for that. It should be in the procedural way. So those kind of steps we'll be putting out, and where to use the warnings, where to use the cautions, and what all topics or what all headings, chapters will be inside a particular guides. If you see guides also, we have a lot of guides. CMM is a different guide, AMM is a different guide. If you see IPL and IPC, both are different catalogs. So all these stuffs, how to extract the inputs, how to implement these inputs into a document, and how you are generating the output. And after generating the output, how we are storing this document, and what are the other processes of the document. So once you prepare the draft, whether it go for review, once the review completes, what will happen. So these all stuffs will comes under the CSDB. So all the branches related to the technical authoring will be teaching it out in the training program.
Okay, so this training program seems to be interesting, and yeah. So, sir, we have a question in the chat box. Nutan is asking, what is the role of CAD engineer in technical writing?
CAD engineer, see, that's what I told. Technical writing itself is having two different designations. One is having the technical author, and one is having the technical illustrator. So illustrator normally comes with illustration purpose. So what illustrator normally does, the technical writer will be preparing the document and giving a draft. It will be prepared in normally it will be prepared in the paint. Okay, so you will be giving the draft of images to a technical illustrator. So what the illustrator will do, the engineering drawing diagrams, right? So using the isodraw tool, they will be tracing it out, and they will be making the isometric views. So is isometric view in the sense, it can be used as 2D or 3D diagrams. Okay, uh, and he will be placing the particular component into exploded view, and he will be preparing an output of .cgm file. That is something called something like cgm file only. I just centrified grammatical something. So it is an output of cgm files. So these cgm files, once they prepared, they will be giving back to the technical author. So whoever is having the knowledge in aerospace field, and who is very improved in doing this, drawing the engineering diagrams, it's not a very big task or tough. The only thing is like every corners or points has to be placed properly, and you have to trace the diagram from the engineering drawings. So engineering drawings will be provided in a soft copies, and using this tool you are just tracing it out. Tracing the sense, I will give an example for that. If you place a coin and placing a paper above the coin, and if you are rubbing the pencil on the coin, you will get the shade of the coin, right? On the paper, if you are rubbing with the pencil, you will get the shade of the coin. In the same way, you will be having 3-4 layers. So using the layer, you are placing the first layer above the engineering drawing, and you will be taking the tracing, and you will be preparing the isometric diagrams of the engine parts or aircraft parts. And the basic qualification they need is they have the AutoCAD or ISO view, isometric diagram specialist, or the basic things only. It's nothing like bigger knowledge in engineering drawing. They need only the basic things, and also the simples, whatever we use. Those kind of stuff they need. And if a person is having a basic knowledge in engineering drawing and CAD and all, they can come up as a technical illustrator, so which is under the technical publication. And I saw the question like which softwares are used by the technical illustrators. So technical illustrators normally they use ISO Draw for drawing the images, and the technical writer and the technical illustrator will have another software called ISO View, where we can view the pictures which is drawn in the ISO Draw. It's both are just like a byproduct. We have to install both the softwares in our system. We will be drawing the images in the ISO Draw, and we will be seeing or displaying the images in the ISO view, because that's what I told. It's like in .cgm files they will be provided, and later we can convert we can open up the cgm files in the ISO view, and we can convert that as a
Hello, sir.
okay. I hope this is fine. You got it, or again I have to explain it. Some
No, sir.
network
So the last point was missed. I think.
issues came between.
So the last point was missed.
Okay, so normally the yeah, you able to get me? It's audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically the images will be drawn in ISO Draw, and it will be viewed in the ISO View software, and it will be sent to the technical writer. And the technical writer normally does he will be viewing the .cgm files. It will be the output, and later if any reworks, you will be sending back the illustrators, and if it is finalized, they can convert the images into PDF or JPEG documents. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So, sir, I guess there is no more questions in the chat box. So, thank you so much, sir, for giving us insights about the technical writing. It's how it is, what are the things that are there in it, and how one can go for it. Everything you have covered very nicely. So, thank you so much, sir, for joining us. So,
Thank you.
this was an amazing session by our guests, Ms. Liny Chandran, ma'am, Mr. Shibu Basheer, sir, and Mr. John Joseph from Great Dreamers India. We hope many of you would join the organization to take maximum benefit of it. And if you're interested in their training programs, you can fill up the Google form present in the chat box. So this is it from day 2. Here we are posting the links of social media handles in the chat box for the further updates. And I hope many of you would join us in future to make this organization a roaring success in the field of aerospace industry. If you want to join the Aerovania innovations, you can mail to the email ID posted in the chat box. Now, I would like to thank Team SARC for their constant support and collaboration for making this symposium a great success. Last but not least, we would like to thank our audience for joining us and making this community more bigger. Thank you so much, everyone. Now, I request everyone to please switch on their cameras so that we can take a screenshot. You can please switch on your camera so that we can take screenshots. Okay, people are coming still. Okay, it's done. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much. I request technical team to just end the meeting.